This Is Us recap. A muted season finale looks to a mysterious Pearson future. Tonight's muted of This Is Us third season feels, for better and for worse, appropriate. No element of the smartest decision the This Is Us team makes is to frame her as an ode to Rebecca. So much of the show, Kate confronts this question on the most personal scale. Baby Jack is in the past. Meanwhile, the family considers the loss of their matriarch in much more immediate terms. Near the episodes, and then, of course, there's You, where we will continue to learn, slowly but surely, what has happened to Rebecca and what this means for her family. But I can't get there. When Randall takes Deja to her debate meet, it's clear it's not a debate meet at all. Deja instead has taken him to the foster home where she suffered particular abuse, as we glimpsed last season. She tells him this, but there's a glaring elephant in the room here. Deja. Not long ago, anyway. We're all here for the final scene is moving, if quiet. Randall walking to
Raindrops.